Hello, everyone. May the 4th be with you. How are you doing? Welcome back. Today, we have a couple stuff to talk about. Terms of bit of sad news. Warren Buffett is retiring, as mentioned in the title and thumbnail. Probably the biggest news that happened over this weekend. Yesterday, I could not stream, but it's all right. Um, what else did we get? Bit of China news, bit of Canada news, separation possibly happening. I don't even know. We broke the uptrend for Bitcoin, but it's not a really big deal. We are still technically in an uptrend. We would just have to figure out where we could find liquidity to continue forward. Seems like Asian markets decided to sell off today. And the support levels that we have for Bitcoin is at 92,000. As long as we stay above 92,000, we'll be fine. Unfortunately, we could not proceed higher. We did not go past 98,000, meaning that we could not approach the 100,000, of course. So that is currently out of the question for the upcoming days, but there are some catalysts that can still push price forward, such as what is Jerome Powell going to say at the FOMC meeting, which will be happening this Wednesday. So this week is going to be pretty interesting, quite packed. We'll see what happens. Given the low volatility of Bitcoin from the previous week, we haven't moved too much, right? We kind of found a sweet spot around this zone I have drawn over here, 92,096. We did break that. We were getting a little optimistic, but ultimately, because of non-farm payroll data, that's where we practically peaked. 8 a.m., 2nd of May. I think that's right. May 2nd, that was, yeah, Friday. That is where we peaked, and we did not continue forward from there due to news that gave projections of less chances of a rate cut for this meeting. For sure, we're not getting a rate cut, and the upcoming meeting also have chances reduced of not getting a rate cut. Right? We will not be getting a rate cut in the next meeting, likely, which is why markets kind of dropped on that day. Yesterday, we just saw some decay. I was hoping we would bounce forward as soon as Asian markets opened, back up to 97,000, but unfortunately the opposite happened. So we are currently, breaking out of this uptrend that we have drawn, and most altcoins will follow the same kind of pattern. We had support on 20th of April, and also starting at the 8th of April with Black Monday catalyzing the low point. Reminder that Donald Trump did mention now's a great time to buy on that day. I think it was on that day. But for now, like I said, we're still in this zone that we were last week, so it's nothing too destructive, or it's not going to break the bull run. It's still going to happen. We just need to find some more liquidity, right? We got to reload before we continue forward, which we can get some of that liquidity from this zone in 92,000, below 93 to above 92,000, this kind of area right over here. So expect to be in the 92,000s if necessary, right? We will be gathering some liquidity from there before continuing forward. Now, our resistance that we have new pivot levels. So we're looking at 95,300 as the first one. And then the resistance that we cannot break from previous high at 2nd of May, 8 a.m., non-from payroll. That is looking at 97,900. We'll call it 98,000. It's very close to 98,000. And then our next target after that is an easy 100,000, which can get catalyzed, like I said, with the FOMC. If Fed Chair Jerome Powell mentions something hopeful for the markets, we'll start reacting immediately and not wait until the meeting after to continue forward. Ultimately, I think that nothing much could happen if he does just say, oh, we're just going to need more economic data before we make a decision. But he's going to get a lot of questions from the press, right? Especially concerning the bit of drama that he had with Donald Trump about, oh, Trump is looking for a replacement. He's going to replace Jerome Powell. He's going to fire Jerome Powell. That's going to damage the markets as well. Or can he even do that? Is it even constitutional? He can't, right? And then Trump later on denied the claims, like, you know what? No, I'm not looking to remove Jerome Powell at all. I'm not looking to replace him. We're just going to wait out his term until 2026 is when his term ends. I don't remember specifically on which date, but he's still got a year to work his magic. So we'll see what happens with the Powell Trump drama. But for now, it's stayed there, it's died there. We don't have to worry about it for now. So yeah, that's where we're at in terms of markets. But still, you know, Trump is still once in a while poking at him, saying, "Come on, I need you to lower the inflation. I mean, to lower the rates, because there's low inflation and, you know, prices are coming down again. So, you know, we need those rates dropped ASAP." But he's not budging, and the odds are not projecting any rate cuts anytime soon until the next meeting in July. 96% chance we stay where we are for this upcoming meeting, May 7. 62% chance of still not getting a rate cut. And then in July, it's looking like a 93% chance we will finally get our first rate cut. And that means we're only getting 1, 2, 3 rate cuts in total for this year, December 10. So that's what we have so far. Before I get into news, let's look at the other altcoins I have not been paying attention to. Seems like everything is kind of decayed. Yeah, as I mentioned, they all kind of broke the little uptrends that they had going on. But I feel like this could easily just be readjusted depending on where we find support. For Solana, it's looking like it's going to be above 140. If we can stay above 140, 138 even, we'll still maintain our uptrend for Solana, so that should still be fine there. 144 is the current price, down 1.35%. Ethereum down 1.43%, priced at 1,811. It actually managed to stay relatively stable here. It does have a longer term uptrend as well, so 1,750, we could stay above that and we'll be perfectly fine for Ethereum in terms of a bull run uptrend, right? Nothing has been broken yet. Nothing's close to being broken yet. Surprisingly, it's been holding well, I guess. Not well, because we do want Ethereum to be much higher than 1,800, but it's still, you know, holding strong. It seems like it's for sure found its bottom, but you can never be too sure, honestly, with Ethereum. But it's still nice to see, right? It's at the pivot level at 1,811. And yeah, like I said, 1,750, we could even take a drop like that and still be perfectly fine. Sui has also dropped a little bit, but given its significant growth that it had in the previous week or two, it's still very fine in my opinion. $3.24 the current price. It's saying uptrend maintaining at 307 if we do, well, 308, right? We could use around this kind of zone up to 311 approximately, given that Fibonacci level. Although I think this is, ignore the Fibonacci, just use this super trend, 308 approximately. If you can stay above that, Sui will be fine. Even if it does flip into a bearish trend temporarily, we still got another uptrend that will still support that. And if we do use that uptrend, this uptrend right over here for support, will break any possible downtrend that is temporarily given to us from a level like this, for example. On Sui, I'm just going to draw one preemptively just to give us an idea as to where that could be, right? So let me see. I'm going to have to draw a bit over here. Breaking this would turn this super trend bearish, something similar to this. And I mean, I don't know. We could find support, like worst case scenario, to 271, right? But ultimately, this can easily be broken. The super trend would follow this kind of drop as well. And then would be around over here where we are currently, right? Breaking that will flip the super trend bullish once again, which means that we're keeping this uptrend going forward. And so we will continue upwards from there if we do see a drop, but I doubt there will be one. I'm just giving you a worst case scenario for here. XRP, $2.16, down 1.53%. Similar deal to Bitcoin's broken its uptrend, would have to be readjusted. We're looking for support at 210, 211, 212, approximately this kind of area. So we still got some room to drop. About another 2% drop for XRP will still be fine. We do need to seek more liquidity before continuing forward. This is kind of looking like if we do just get a bit of decay until May, when is it? May 7? Am I blind? Is it? Okay. It showed me right here. I'm pretty sure it is May 7, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, May 7. FOMC meeting. We're going to wait until that date until we're able to continue forward, right? We could drop until like over here and then continue forward. It's at least what I'm projecting for now. My indicators indicate that. Cardano is at 67 cents, down 3.83%. Got a lot of supports that it could use. Cardano might have a bit of a different outlook over here. It did break this downtrend, and there's no significant downtrend either. Like, it's very shallow, so I think it's should be treated more as a resistance in this case, around 70. You could use resistance 172 cents would be the resistance that we would have for it. Next, hang on, what is this? I have an ad going on. Delete this. Okay. I had an ad going on in the background there. Hold on. Okay, we're good now. We're good. So, yeah, Cardano. We can see a drop. Another 5% drop to 64. We'll still be fine and maintaining our uptrend. This could easily just be readjusted right over there or something like that. But for now, nothing's clear yet. And like I said, resistance, you can only look for this. There's no real downtrend. Except for this one. It's a big downtrend, but it's going to take a very long time. It's completely irrelevant to this micro scale that we're looking at right now for Cardano's price action. It's going to take a while. Last but not least, Litecoin. Actually, yeah, very least. No, not really. It's holding its uptrend pretty good. It hasn't broken it like the rest of the other coins. Although a drop can still be seen, we'd still be fine as long as we maintain above 80. 80 is a good psychological level. Resistance 1 is looking at the high point that we reached earlier this week. This was thanks to news that, once again, ETF optimism has come back into Litecoin's price action. But that's already been wiped out, it seems like. Currently pumping a little bit back up over here. I'll slightly readjust this. But it's likely going to get broken within the next couple hours, like I said. If the rest of the markets do continue to see a drop to the support levels I gave for all of them, Litecoin's going to see something similar. As long as we can stay above 80, though, we'll be fine. There we are. So that's what we have for now. Bit of rejection here. Bitcoin might drop a little bit more overnight. Yeah, Asian market just decided to open with sell-off today. It's fine. For good reason, too, maybe. They've been having some bad news, especially China. Well, this is separate news, but this is pretty cool. China has apparently opened the world's first AI hospital with 14 artificial intelligence doctors. And I think this is going to be the future, indeed. Like, I've skipped going to the doctor, skipped going to walking clinics, having appointments, setting all that stuff up, etc. And you just ask ChatGPT, like, I have these symptoms, what is going on with my body? And it'll say, you're experiencing this because of this, so you should take this, and you'll be perfectly fine. And usually it works. So, yeah, RIP doctors. I don't know what's going to happen next for them. This is more of the bad news for Asian markets. India. Siding with the United States in this trade war, India has declared that they will serve as the major replacement for Chinese manufacturing for the US and the world. They already do, the stuff with the iPhones and all that. So, yeah, look, it will be made in India over made in China at this rate, right? It's looking like India might be the next biggest trade partner that the United States has, replacing China, if China does not act soon. China's economy is not doing that great. They had some reports over here, year-on-year change of China's exports. It shows a decline of 10% year over year, which is the largest drop in at least 15 years that we have seen for China's their markets, right, in terms of exporting. But the United States is kind of suffering, and we did see a bit of that with the economic data. Still not as bad, though, and it is true the fact that the U.S. that China needs the U.S. more than what the U.S. needs China. Also, in response to President Trump's tariffs, remember that whole situation with Temu, how they were going to start increasing their prices once again because of the tariff stuff? A lot of stuff from Temu comes from China. Well, apparently Temu has announced that they will begin sourcing and shipping products directly from the United States instead of China. Of course, that's to keep their business afloat and to avoid these tariffs, the shipping things from China to the United States. Will things still be as cheap though? I don't think so. Like, this is just me thinking, but I don't know. Maybe they'll find a way. And even according to Perplexity AI bot fact checker, it is true Temu has stopped shipping products directly from China to the US following the Trump administration closure of the de minimis tariff loophole that allowed duty-free imports under $800. That's cool. Now all Temu orders for US customers are fulfilled from domestic warehouses, and the company is recruiting more US-based sellers to keep products available and prices competitive. There you go. Which, this is kind of what Trump wants, right? He wants everything in the United States, manufacturing in the United jobs in the United States, everything United States. So the tariff seems to be the way to achieve that. On top of this, do I have this here? Here. I'll announce this one first before we keep talking about China. He released this post on Truth Social today, imposing a 100% tariff on all movies produced outside the US. That is a big tariff. 100%. He wants movies produced in the United States. He says the movie industry in America is dying a very fast death. Other countries are offering all sorts of incentives to draw our filmmakers and studios away from the United States. Hollywood and many other areas within the USA are being devastated. This is a concerted effort by other nations and therefore a national security threat. It is, in addition to everything else, messaging and propaganda. Therefore, I am authorizing the Department of Commerce and the United States Trade Representative to immediately begin the process of instituting a 100% tariff on any and all movies coming into our country that are produced in foreign lands. We want movies made in America again. Yep, that's the way Trump seems to be achieving what he wants by everything has to be done in the United States. And he's doing it for the good of the economy in the future, right? This will open more jobs. It'll make the United States a more important thing and make more countries, what's the term they use in this next post? Back down, or I don't know how to say it, like give up or surrender, I guess, to the United States. Not in that way, but like in you know what, United States wins, we can't keep up with these tariffs. We'll do what the United States asks, right? And China is kind of getting to that point. They quietly exempted U.S. goods from tariffs covering around $40 billion worth of imports in an effort to soften the blow of the trade war on its own economy. So is China backing down? Possibly. Trump also mentioned on an interview today that, he's always saying stuff like, oh, we're getting closer and closer to a deal with China. And ultimately he did say, you know what, we would consider reducing some tariffs on China. If they do get to a resolution, that would make markets go up again, because the institutional investors, they won't be fearful for their products, right? And we have a lot of institutional investors in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as well. They will likely start buying. There's a lot of bullish outlook for the upcoming months. ETF approvals are in line there. Sure, they're being delayed, but they're coming, believe me. And okay, I'll get to all that stuff later. Another just last bit of news for Trump here. He's ordered the reopening of Alcatraz. He posted this as well on Truth Social. Rebuild and open Alcatraz. For too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders, the dregs of society who will never contribute to anything other than misery and suffering. When we were a more serious nation in times past, we did not hesitate to lock up the most dangerous criminals and keep them far away from anyone they could harm. That's the way it's supposed to be. No longer will we tolerate these serial offenders who spread filth, bloodshed, and mayhem on our streets. That is why today I am directing the Bureau of Prisons, together with the Department of Justice, FBI, and Homeland Security, to reopen a substantially enlarged and rebuilt Alcatraz to house America's most ruthless and violent offenders. We will no longer be held hostage to criminals, thugs, and judges that are afraid to do their job and allow us to remove criminals who came into our country illegally. The reopening of Alcatraz will serve as a symbol of law, order, and justice. We will make America great again. That's great, right? Getting rid of the criminals. Why is this bad? I don't see the bad side to this. So that'll be pretty cool. And also the concept of Alcatraz, it's really cool. Like a prison on an island. That's pretty cool. There's a lot of stories, a lot of also games like Call of Duty surrounding this kind of area, if you've played that. Yeah, it was pretty cool though. I'm content that they will be reopening that. Um, Here's interesting news about Mike Walls. He was apparently dismissed because he was working too much for Israel and pushing the US in a war with Iran, according to the Washington Post. They report that Mike Walls was dismissed, I guessing that means fired, due to his extensive communication with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu about military action against Iran. Officials in the Trump administration believe he was trying to tip the scales in favor of military action and was closely collaborating with the Israelis. This is kind of a thing that's going on behind the scenes that no one's really talking about. The fact that people are scared that Israel is going to get the United States involved into a war with Iran because they want to denuclearize Iran, but Iran, of course, does not want to give up that power. So it's like this deadlock. What is going to happen? Trump's already kind of gave him a bit of a threat, like, if you don't get into an agreement with us, we're going to bomb you. And, I mean, they're still in talks about that. I don't know. I don't know any recent updates on it. But apparently this guy's a bit of accomplice in trying to use this for the wrong. He's trying to, like, actually provoke this war. So he was dismissed from cabinet, from his spot. I don't know what would you call it. Was caught using a TM-SGNL, an Israeli modified version of Signal with archiving features to receive and relay potentially classified information. Yeah, that's stuff you're not supposed to do. So, I guess deserved. I don't know. Also, this is good news in terms of just stock market. Should I talk about this yet? I'll talk about this here. Hold on. First, let me mention this. Tomorrow we're getting some important news for Bitcoin in terms of the fact that, I think I covered this last week, we have our Bitcoin strategic reserve. Okay, that's been announced. The executive order has been signed. It exists. The 200,000 Bitcoin that United States has from seized assets will be used as its strategic reserve. But Bitcoin dropped in price from that announcement. Why? Because no plans of buying more was announced. And that's what the people want, right? We want the United States, this number one economy country in the world, to be buying our Bitcoins, right? Although I really don't know why you'd want that. It's supposed to be a decentralized network, but people just looking at short-term growth and they want their bags to pump. They're thinking bull cycle. I need to retire my bloodline in this bull run. Isn't there a meme like that? Okay, so this is what's happening though. They said that they would be giving 60 days to deliver an evaluation of the legal and investment considerations of setting up the strategic Bitcoin reserve. They were going to sit back and think, how are we going to fund this Bitcoin strategic reserve that is now in place without using taxpayer money is what they don't want to do, right? Because they're already far in debt. They have Doge working for them and trying to save up money, but they need to find other ways to do it, right? I personally proposed selling gold when it was at all-time highs and buying Bitcoin when it was at a yearly low, but they did not listen, and that's fine. So the 60 days are coming up, and that will be tomorrow. It's going to be 60 days after signing that executive order. So will we see anything is the big question. Is anything going to be announced? And it's not been completely forgotten either. I mean, some people are thinking like, okay, clearly, like this, for example, at the last day of the deadline, they're waiting to get any updates. It's clearly not a priority for the United States, or is what some people are speculating. But it is still technically being worked on in terms of this. I'll talk about this. Senator Loomis, she announced this on Friday, said that President Trump is supporting her bill to buy 1 million Bitcoins. The bill, of course, meaning in 5 years, you purchase 200,000 Bitcoins each year to reach 1 million Bitcoins. On top of the 200,000 that they already have, the United States would then have 1,200,000 Bitcoins, which is more than Satoshi Nakamoto, but less than what MicroStrategy might have. And we'll talk about MicroStrategy later, but yeah. It's not confirmed yet, but this is something that can be announced possibly tomorrow. Could be bullish, or it could be a complete letdown. It could be a sell the news event if people are not content with whatever gets announced. But if this gets announced, I think things will be great. It could easily push us up to levels that would be close enough to start seeing 100,000 once again. By the way, this is coming tomorrow. Or it could just be, like I said, if it's devastating news, the thing that breaks this uptrend and starts putting us back into a downtrend once again, giving this 97,857 the highest point versus whatever, the next high point that we get to continue a downtrend. I don't think it's going to be like that steep for now, but you get the point, right? For now, we're just looking at a resistance. We do need price to drop and come down to this zone over here. So that's what we have for Bitcoin. This was an interview from today, same interview where he talked about China, from Donald Trump, stating that he still supports crypto, emphasizing its importance by warning that if the United States doesn't embrace it, China will. Remember, China has 190,000 Bitcoins, very close to what the United States has. He also noted that the crypto market proved much stronger than the stock market during this recent crash. If you recall, the S&P 500, all US stocks market, had a terrible crash. Bitcoin also did too. Cryptocurrency also crashed. But in most scenarios, there was a bit of decoupling going on where Bitcoin didn't crash as much as the S&P 500, or rather it actually increased when the S&P 500 was still dropping, right? There's other charts on that. I don't have the specifics here with me, but I covered it live a couple weeks ago. It did happen, and we saw it happen. So it just goes to show, like, that's also one of the main things that people were saying. Even Micro Saylor, there are no tariffs on Bitcoin, right? Why does this whole tariff situation have to impact Bitcoin? The real answer to that is the institutional investors, the ETFs. They are, from that Wall Street, they are stock market investors, and they're the ones that are getting rid of their risk on assets like cryptocurrencies first. And then also their stocks also just keep on dropping. They go start buying bonds because they think a recession is going to come, which I'm pretty sure it's ruled out. It's not going to come, but be careful though. Even Jim Cramer says there will not be a recession, and we know what happens with Jim Cramer, inverse Cramer. We might get a recession this year. No, but in all seriousness, I don't think that we'll be undergoing a recession. I have enough faith and trust in Trump. It would look horrible under Trump administration if we do have a recession. What do we need for that? I think it's something like 2 or 3 negative GDPs in order. So it's all based off of economic data, and that is also one of the reasons of Jerome Powell waiting to see, when is a good time to cut rates. But Trump really wants to start stimulating the economy again. He wants that money printer coming back on, so he wants interest rates reduced, more money flowing in the economy, because that's what he's all about, right? He's a businessman. He wants to prove to everybody that he is going to make everybody rich. He even gave us the bottom signal, right? Like, he tweeted around this time, "Now's a great time to buy, by the way." And then he announced "I'm pausing tariffs for 90 days, and everything started going up again. So I feel like Trump is trying to help the regular person. He doesn't really care about the big guys because they've already made all their millions. Why do they need more? We'll talk about the big guys later. And on that day, he mentioned us don't be a panickin, is what he said in one of his tweets. And in good faith here, it actually worked, right? The S&P 500 has erased its Liberation Day losses. On Liberation Day, we dropped over here, and the S&P 500 last week has already recovered. It had 9 consecutive green days, which is the longest since, I don't know, a couple years, 15, 20 years, I think it was, that we have ever seen, like a 9-day win streak in a row. So ultimately, great recovery. Given though the fact that Bitcoin is now currently dropping, we might see another drop from the stock markets once they open up tomorrow, Monday morning. So I think it's just their 9-day streak is gonna end there. We're not getting 10 green days in a row. Likely not. Who knows? Maybe things turn around, but we'll be fine. And that also sparked up this debate. Like, Trump said that when he won the election, stock markets were hitting all-time high. He said that it's because of him, right? Because people are so optimistic about him, and he's already winning in the polls, and he won, and stock markets at all-time highs because of him. And then once he announced this tariff stuff, everything started dropping and said, oh, that's because it was under Biden. This is Biden's influence. This is Biden's market from before. And then now that things are going back up, is it still Biden's market or is it his market now? He's probably going to start bragging that it's his market and tariffs are working. Who knows? He's like that, though. It's pretty funny. I just laugh at it. I don't care whose market it is. I just understand how things get impacted and prepare for it. Prepare for both scenarios. That's all you got to do. Now, speaking of the big guys, right, who are making too much money, well, this is one of the good big guys. MicroStrategy. Well, strategy now. I have to stop calling them MicroStrategy. Do they even have a new logo? Because I'm using their old logo in my thumbnails. I'm guessing this is their new logo. It's literally just Bitcoin's logo. I don't even think I'm going to change to that. So I'll just keep the old logo for now. And I'll keep calling them MicroStrategy. So they have they're trying to raise $57 billion to keep buying more Bitcoin, which will ultimately make them, if they ape all of that into it right now, it's going to be 600,000 Bitcoins right now if they purchase, right? Almost 60 billion. If each Bitcoin is almost 100,000, that's 600,000 Bitcoins, right? He has 500,000 right now. If you combine the two, that'll be 1,100,000 Bitcoins, which would make MicroStrategy the future second largest holder of Bitcoin. If the United States does pass that bill of buying 1 million Bitcoin in 5 years, United States will be first, right? They would have 1,200,000. MicroStrategy would have 1,100,000, and the chances of that will be less, of course, for both as time goes on, because Bitcoin will be more expensive. They will have less purchasing power, right? They won't be able to buy as much Bitcoins. So, and then, of course, Satoshi Nakamoto has 1 million Bitcoins. And then after that, it's just a bunch of exchanges and all of that. Maybe China starts getting into the action. But, I mean, look at these projections. We know Michael Saylor will be buying Bitcoin. Matter of fact, he just announced this today. He posted this image, and every time he does that, oh, it needs more orange, it needs more orange. Orange means the amount of just him buying, right? Areas that he has purchased Bitcoin at. And he says it needs more orange. And every time he does that, the next day it gets announced that MicroStrategy has purchased X amount of Bitcoin. And that's going to happen again, guaranteed, tomorrow. He posted this on the Bitcoin tracker. Strategy always announces another Bitcoin purchase the next day. So it's a good time to buy, right? Especially with prices dropping. I don't know. Maybe he purchased already and then things started to drop. It does typically seem to happen that way. He seems to buy things and then they drop. I don't know why. It's probably just really bad timing. But it's fine. I think, institutional interest is here. That's the good thing. Thumbs Up Media is another company. They're raising up to $200 million to purchase Bitcoin. They will be having a strategic reserve as well. I don't know what this company does. Thumbs Up. I'm gonna look it up. Thumbs Up. It's investor relations. Thumbs Up Media Corporation in LA. How does Thumbs Up work? Oh, they have a stock in they're in the Nasdaq. Robust programmatic advertiser dashboard. Enables individuals to get paid cash for posting about participating advertisers on major social media outlets through the Thumbs Up app. Well, okay, cool. They're buying Bitcoin. That's all that really matters. And another giant over here, the biggest giant of them all, Warren Buffett. He has announced that he will be stepping down as CEO of Berkshire Hathaway by the end of 2025. He is leaving. He is giving it up. He will... I mean, this is every trader's idol, right? Everybody wants to become like Warren Buffett. This guy has made millions. He started investing at a very young age. I've read stories about him. It's on my channel. It's in Spanish. And yeah, he's been CEO of this company that he made, Berkshire Hathaway, for 55 years. He has there's a index as well, right? The Berkshire Hathaway Index. Is that what it's called? I don't think it's an ETF. But yeah, you see the progress of his company's growth over time, and it's just beautiful, right? Because this guy studies very hard on what to invest. He doesn't just randomly pick. He doesn't buy meme coins. He doesn't buy altcoins. He doesn't buy crypto. Just basic stocks, safe stocks, a lot of dividends, a lot of treasuries, all that kind of stuff. And over time, of course, solid, good growth, and ultimately making him the richest investor, right? So, yeah. And he's also 94, by the way. He decides to retire then. So, I mean, it goes to show there's still a chance, right? We can all make our money. He did give some final remarks, though. One of them being, it might be a good idea to own a lot of other currencies besides the dollar, the US dollar. Also, by the way, we don't know who the next CEO will be. Hopefully it's a pro crypto person. I don't know, because the Berkshire Hathaway has something like $300 billion in cash. I think the last time I checked, right, when they took profits from Apple and Bank of America. He says to own a lot of other currencies. What currencies, right? Literally, what are the other currencies? What are you going to hold? The Japanese yen? I don't think so. What is the Switzerland franc? Great British pound. What other countries have better currencies than the US? It's probably going to be crypto. Probably, but he's been very anti Bitcoin. I don't know. Maybe whenever he passes away, and then the next CEO is a younger guy, and is like, you know what, crypto is indeed the future. We're gonna buy a lot of crypto. Yeah, that's $300 billion that's gonna be entering the market. Maybe. I don't think they're gonna do all of it, and I don't know. It's probably not wise, because a lot of institutions, a lot of older people as well who have their life savings and stuff like that invested in Berkshire Hathaway because they trust Warren Buffett as well with his trading knowledge and all of that. I don't think they'd be too happy if all of a sudden they just flip the switch and like, yeah, by the way, we're going to be buying Dogecoin. Haha. No, I don't think that's going to happen. But hey, who knows? Maybe a little portion. Even if it's a little portion, it'll be a step in the right direction, I hope. He also spoke out against tariffs, saying that trade should not be a weapon, la la la. He also mentioned the truth about money and makes the case for Bitcoin at the Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting. He's saying that fiscal policy is what scares him in the US. The natural course of government is to make the currency worth less over time. They devalue it at rates that are breathtaking. In the end, if you've got people that control your currency, you can issue paper money. So low-key, he is talking about, you know, what would be the best hedge against inflation. Okay, sure, maybe gold if you're an older person and you think that gold is safer, sure. But ultimately, the younger people like us will outlive the older people, and we know, at least I know, well, some older people get it too. I'm not just generalizing everybody like that, but we know Bitcoin is the best hedge against inflation because I saw this post the other day. How did it go? Imagine working for 50 years of your life only for the Fed to print 20% of that away. Something like that. So, yeah, like the devaluation of the currency, it's happening. It's proven. It's legit, right? So you need something that will combat against that inflation. And hence, that is why Bitcoin has also been created. It is going to be a scarce asset. There can only be 21 million Bitcoins. US will have 1 million. MicroStrategy will have another million. Exchanges will have another million. That's 3. Satoshi Nakamoto has 1 million. That's 4. 4 million's already gone. 5 million maybe from... Sorry, another million from the rest of us, retail investors in Wales. Maybe institutional investors. It's already 6 million. I don't know. I don't have the specifics, of course, on that. You can check that stuff on CoinMarketCap to see what the circulating supply is. But there will be a time when there cannot be any more Bitcoin mined. It's going to be a very long time. according to the algorithm and how hard it is to mine a Bitcoin, all that stuff. Yeah. Who knows? Bybit CEO, Ben, says that users can soon trade stocks, indexes, gold, and oil directly on the platform by the end of the quarter. That's pretty cool. Might even switch to Bybit. Because I do want to trade this kind of stuff. Maybe if, hopefully if they allow leverage and, a bit of decentralized trading. They will be requiring KYC to do this, though, right? They have to. I think they do. More KYC required. Buying stocks on Bybit will... I have the same question. Will likely be similar to trading crypto, as both may use the MetaTrader 5 platform. I hate that. With a familiar interface. However, KYC requirements could differ due to stricter regulations for traditional assets like stocks. I agree. You probably need at least standard individual KYC, but additional verification might be required for stocks such as enhanced identity checks or source of funds. Details aren't fully clear yet, so I recommend checking the Bybit's official announcement for content and support for the most accurate info on KYC stock trading. Yeah. Yeah, I think they will require KYC, of course. And I kind of don't want to do KYC because I value my identity. Although I probably doxed myself a couple times anyway. Global M2 money supply. We know that everything is going to start rising. Here's the proof. Right, blast-off's already confirmed. It's already happened. We were originally projecting May 1st for the blast-off using 108 days, but it's it's practically confirmed by here. The best correlations for 80-day offsets are here, 86-day or 108-day. They all match up. Whatever. It's not an argument as to which one is the correct offset. The thing is that everything is just going to go up, and we know that. So that's what matters here the most. I think it's just explaining that. Yeah. We already know things are going to be pointing upwards. Here's some news about Apple. $3 trillion company. They just dropped their iOS ban on in-app Bitcoin and crypto payments. That's good. Less restrictions on cryptocurrency. And then we're going to start getting into a bit of bad news, maybe. Or scary news. I don't know. A whale has just opened a $119 million Bitcoin short with 40x leverage. This could be the catalyst also as to why things have just started dropping. Liquidation price at 102,000. Entry price at 95,300. I kind of want to draw this just to see how this whale does with its short position. Entered at around, around here. What were the prices? Inputs. Entry was this. Here. Great, I can't copy and paste. 95,381. Probably because of the comma. And stop loss at... Stop loss is your liquidation price. 102,340. So that's what it's looking like. Interesting short. They're probably looking for an inverse profit, right? Like if I was this person, I'd take my profits at 92,000, right? With a short like this. Of course, it's inverse, so you're probably going to lose more, but you're also going to make millions. He's already in profit right now. Could have already taken profits already. We don't know for sure. Can I track this? We have the wallet here, but I'm not typing all of that. Yeah, I don't have a image to text thing, so I'm not going to do that. It's too much effort. But yeah, I'm kind of curious now. I kind of want to check this. Okay, how do I do this? Copy image. Image to text. Extract text from image. Paste. Convert. Verify Cloudflare. Yes, I am a human. Okay, load faster. If this works, that is based. Oh, here it is. Okay, here's the address. This was on Hyperscan. I already have a different address in here, but that's just for... This is the previous whale. Do they even have anything, by the way? Perpetuals. Yeah, nothing. I think they might have gotten banned or something. Here's the address that I want to look up. Perps. Okay. Yeah, they've gotten rid of their Bitcoin. They now have, well, they have 0 USDC. What do they have? Now they're going long on Trump, Fartcoin, AIXBT, and Pepe. They're buying meme coins, making millions in profit already. What? When did they buy this? Surely it's not a long time, or maybe it is? I don't know if this is cropped out of the screenshot. Yeah, I think it is, because they have 6 perpetual entries. They just opened a Bitcoin short and immediately took some profits. So it seems like these entries were there before. Do we see like a history of what they have? Bitcoin. 10 minutes ago, 11 minutes ago. Closed short. Am I blind? Yeah, Bitcoin. So yeah, it seems like they've already taken profits. Yeah, here's millions in profits already. 5 million, 5 million. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, this is no longer valid. They already took their profits. Probably explains a bit of rejection there. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. I don't think that would have too much of an impact on the price. But it's cool. It's interesting to see. Probably a lucky trade, I would say. Interesting. I mean, it makes sense. You broke the uptrend. Prices bound to drop from here, and Asian markets also opening, which gave that extra volatility and allowed him to take some profits here. But it was a bit of a risky trade. You're going inverse risk-reward ratio. That's what I was trying to say. All right, more bad news. Arizona's attempt to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve has failed. So we already had failing from, I think it was South Dakota, one of them. There was another state as well that declined their Bitcoin strategic reserve. In the states, we're talking about specifically each state, and now Arizona has also declined theirs. Governor Hobbs vetoed the bill and called Bitcoin an untested investment. What are you talking about? Literally, your president has got a Bitcoin strategic reserve. This is the explanation. Today, I vetoed the Senate Bill 1025. Arizona State Retirement System is one of the strongest in the nation because it makes sound and informed investments. So they're thinking it's a bit too risky. Arizona's retirement funds are not the place for the state to try untested investments like virtual currency. Thanks, Katie. Anyways, have fun staying poor, and you'll have to buy Bitcoin in the future at a much higher price. I think they could reintroduce a bill 1 year later for this same kind of thing. I think, based off of what I've seen already with previous states that have declined theirs. Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll see what happens. And the UK is set to ban buying crypto with credit cards and loans. Well, yeah, it seems like the European Union in general, this is also becoming pretty anti-crypto, anti-Bitcoin. They already also tried to pass a law to ban private blockchains, right, by 2027, whatever that news was. I had one, it was with Monero, for example, and EU. I don't know if I'll find the news by searching this up. Yeah, Europe is banning XMR, so people are buying up Monero. That's pretty funny. Yeah, we'll see. I don't think they will be able to succeed, and people are betting on the fact that they're not going to be able to succeed in banning privacy tokens. So screw the European Union. That's what they're saying. Vitalik Buterin pushes for a simpler Ethereum L1 protocol. He's trying his best to revive Ethereum, and it's probably explaining why we haven't dropped as significantly. It's still a lot of bad price. Never mind, we are dropping now. Seems like this news means nothing then. It's inspired by Bitcoin's minimalism. I also take this as a bit bearish. I don't know. It aims for efficiency, security, and accessibility in a new blog post, simplifying the L1. If you're just going to make another Bitcoin replica, like, what is the point? A little bit too late is what most people are saying. I mean, it could be bullish if you are still going to improve the blockchain. It would be fine, like, long term, but short term is like, okay, come on, really? They did try other stuff already. The Risk C thing, whatever it was called, instead of their EVM. That kind of changed. They're also trying to plan to implement, but we'll see. And lastly, I'll talk a bit about Canada news. What if these provinces and this half joined the United States. I mean, it makes sense, right? The United States also has Alaska over here. So it'll just look like this diagonal thing, and Canada would be a much smaller country. Well, not much, but still a smaller country nonetheless. And they would stay liberal, while the US gets a lot of conservative people. Maybe. I don't know. That would be pretty funny. Because it's probably going to happen, right? Danielle Smith, the current premier of the province of Alberta, there's a lot of talks about them trying to leave Canada and either become their own little country, like a separation kind of thing, or just join the United States, become the 51st state. That'd be pretty cool. Because Pierre Poilievre is also there now, right? If you don't know this, Pierre Poilievre lost in his riding. He didn't get elected in Ottawa, a liberal one in his little district. So that means that he loses his seat in Parliament. So the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada is not allowed to fight against the Liberals anymore because he didn't get elected. So another member of Parliament in Alberta had to give up his seat, resigned his seat, so that Pierre Poilievre can take over. And they did it in a safe area in Alberta, which is a very, like we saw on the map, it's a very blue province. Blue means conservative in this case, red means liberal. So yeah, he gave up his riding around over here. So Pierre Poilievre can get a seat in office again in the Parliament, so that he can continue leading the Conservative Party, right? And now, of course, Danielle Smith and Pierre Poilievre in Alberta, I don't know, maybe they might do something, but I don't think they would give up to the United States, because Pierre Poilievre has already, and it probably cost him the election to say this, said that he does not want to be an ally of Trump or be associated with Trump in any way, although there are some clips of him taking some phrases from Trump's vocabulary, right, to make Canada great again, or Canada first, or I don't know, there was a whole video about it, literally just copying the same thing. I think he would be like, the maple MAGA, as liberals try to point out for him to be. But it's pretty good, though. It should be a good thing, because I think Trump's a good president. Central and Eastern Canada, like, yeah, also, why are you fighting so hard against the Western separation? What's in it for the left? They would get liberal governments forever, in perpetuity. There will be no right-wing boogeyman ever again. There will be no biological hawks, free printed money forever. Win-win, because that's apparently what the liberals want, right? So you can stay liberal forever if the west of Canada goes into the United States. Possibly, I don't know. And last bit of news. Make sure you start using a VPN as of tonight, because Canada is about to criminalize free speech on X and Facebook, exactly like the UK. That's not good. And this guy is also coming from that kind of area, so I have no doubts that he will implement this. He's calling it an anti-hate speech kind of thing, but it's really just, you're killing free speech is what it is. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should start watching what we say online anymore. Can't post any memes about the government, or else we'll get a knock at our door. That kind of deal. Ethereum dropping 1,788. Everything else still kind of looking downwards. Bitcoin's ended up at 93,796, 800. For the stream, yeah. What I said at the beginning still kind of stands. I'm expecting us to drop by over here. If not by Monday, then Tuesday. Wednesday could be a different story. If we are around this area, it would be the make or break point. If we can continue upwards, maybe to 100k, depending on how good the news is, or we generate one more downtrend, one last shakeout before we start rising again. Maybe, I don't know. We're not considered oversold yet, which means that this can still continue dropping, like I said, but I expect us to be oversold around this kind of area over here in the 4-hour chart. And if it does, I will absolutely be entering some more positions. I find this zone very spicy, even though I did not see that zone as spicy when we were down here in the 80s. But, you know, things change. And I might end up regretting this, but I don't know. I won't DCA too much, just little bits. Because you always got to be prepared if things continue dropping. You must always have cash on the side. You must never run out of cash on the side. And you should be entering a little bit then a little bit more, then a little bit more, etc. That's the power of DCA. All right, that's all I have for today's stream. Tonight's stream. Tomorrow I will be streaming again, so we'll check if there was any updates, any news on that Bitcoin strategic reserve. We didn't get a crypto strategic reserve, any updates on that yet in terms of adding, Ethereum, Cardano, XRP, Solana to the mix. But nonetheless, doesn't really matter. What are we getting next week? ISM services, PMI. That could be a little important. None of these are important. Gold rose above 32.60 per ounce on Monday as persistent uncertainty surrounding U.S.-China trade talks supported demand for safe haven assets. On Sunday, which is today, Trump said he believed China wanted to make a deal, though he provided no specifics or timeline, as per usual. Last week, Beijing said it's currently assessing proposals by the U.S. to begin trade talks, but reiterated any negotiations would require some preconditions to be met. Additionally, the US dollar weakened, making gold more attractive for buyers. Is gold on the rise? I think it might be, given this news. And this completely derailed me. Come on, I was in the middle of looking at this. Wednesday is going to be the most important day, right? Fed interest rate decision, and then the press conference. Jerome Powell will be talking there. Initial jobless claims on Thursday. Friday, some more Fed speeches. Do we get Powell? No Powell. We don't care about what these other guys say. Doesn't impact the market too much. Gold. Yeah, it's kind of on the rise again this week. Let me go to a 4-hour chart. All right. Yeah, it's looking good. Uncertainty again over the US-China talks. That's what we got. All right, cool. So we're all ended for tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe.